Oh, this wasn't what I had in mind. I asked YouTube the other day, how smooth is the GoPro Hero9 Black Hypersmooth 3.0 with and without boost? I didn't find any comprehensive answers. Now, the GoPro Hero9's only been out for a couple of weeks, so there's not a whole lot of user feedback out there. And there were some reviews from mountain bike specific users that were really good and really comprehensive. And they did touch on how smooth Hypersmooth is with boost or without. But when I was looking at the footage, I realized they were riding trails that were way smoother than what I ride. And they were riding full suspension bikes. And I ride a hardtail on the North Shore of Vancouver. And it's rough, and it's bumpy, and it's rocky, and it's rooty. And I wanted to know, is the GoPro Hero9 Black a camera that I can just get and ride with? Not that interested in working with gimbals or a full face mask with the camera mounted to the chin strap, although those methods do seem to produce the best and smoothest POV mountain biking footage. But I want to work with what I got. I've got a chest strap from about 7 years ago. I got a helmet that is not a full face that I'm comfortable with. And I wanted to know if the GoPro Hero9 is something that I can just grab and go with. Main motivation for me to get an action camera was so that I could document chasing my kids down hills, on bikes, on skis, and possibly share it with the YouTube crowd, where the hook or overarching theme is going to be middle-aged man desperately trying to keep up with teenage son who is rapidly surpassing him in most physical challenges. So there'll be some of that. And there'll be my dog. But really I wanted to get a camera that was user-friendly and didn't require a lot of extra stuff. GoPro Hero 9 seemed like a solution. So I'm gonna go take it on some really rough trail and re-ride a section a bunch of times with different settings, and I'll see how it looks. So I'm going to leave some factors as constants, because what I'm really interested in is how smooth can we get the Hypersmooth. So some of the constants are going to be things like bit rate. I'll leave that set at standard. Sharpness, I'll leave that at medium. Given the light situation that I often find myself in here in North Vancouver on the North Shore, pretty similar to what we're looking at right here, which is gray in the deep dark woods. I'm gonna leave the light at the ISO minimum 100, maximum 3200. To give the computer a chance to get as much light in as possible without degrading image quality too much. Color profiling is set as flat, but I think that's neither here nor there in relation to the boost. So the things I am going to play with are going to be the resolution and the frame rate. I'm not going to bother with 1440 or 1080 because this is a GoPro Hero 9, go all the way up to 5K. So I figure you're probably not getting the camera to do either of those two resolutions. So I'm going to play with 4K resolution, a little bit of 2K, 2.7K rather, and the frame rates between 30 and 60. Those will be my variables. Okay, going to test out the GoPro Hero 9 Black Hypersmooth function. I was going to do it higher up on the hill, but it was so dark. I thought it was unfair to test it in really low light conditions, so I came down here where it's a little brighter. And first we're going to do the resolution 4K frames per second 30 Hypersmooth 3.0 boost on and super view lens. Okay, let's take it down this chunky bit on a chunky hardtail with lots of air pressure in my back tire, and we'll see how it goes. Okay. Smooth there. Now it's gonna get bumpy. I'll let it be bumpy.
I'll take the bumpy way. I'm gonna go old school way here. Just okay. Let's go back up, try a different setting. Okay, Hypersmooth test round 2. Now we're going with 4K resolution, 60 frames per second. Lens is wide, so it's going to look a bit different. And boost is still on. You can't do super view at 60 frames per second with a boost on, so we've got to do wide. I think I like the super view composition better, but let's see how this goes. Okay, same bit of trail, chunky as before.
Okay, right away, looking back at this after the fact, the super view, I definitely prefer the view. Wider lens so you can see my hands better, and also up and down. I didn't realize how much of the vertical picture gets cut off in the wide angle versus the super view. And as far as the overall smoothness goes, I think it feels rougher to me because it is getting bounced around so much because the picture is tighter.
Okay, so round 3 of the Hypersmooth test is resolution 4K again, frames per second is 60 again. I'm gonna go with the wide angle instead of the super view. And here is just Hypersmooth on, not boost setting. Okay, let's see how this looks.
As you can see from the color saturation, I mistakenly left the color profile as GoPro here instead of flat. But already, again, we're with the wide angle lens, so less vertical picture. And as far as the chunkiness goes, it's definitely shakier, but in a realistic way. So this is Hypersmooth on, not boost. And I feel like it's pretty true to how it should film, but not all that good to watch for any length of time.
Round 4 of the Hypersmooth test. This setting resolution is 2.7K. Frames per second is 60. Back to the super view lens, which I like the look of. And boost is on. All right, let's see how she goes.
So as far as tasking the camera with things to do, here we're asking it for 2.7K at 60 frames per second, which is pretty similar to the round number 1, which was 4K at 30. And we're also asking it to process super view and the boost setting. And I feel like this is pretty similar to round 1. That's preferential view, and it looks pretty smooth. The pixels are kind of getting crushed up a little bit, but it seems acceptable to me. And now here are all 4 at once, in case you weren't getting seasick yet. What I was surprised about was how much of the vertical picture got cropped when you went to the wide angle from the super view. So it seems like I want to prioritize super view lens and also boost setting, because it definitely seems smoother than just having Hypersmooth on. That does seem like a lot to ask of the camera, and I'm certainly no electrical engineer or computer chip maker, but it seems like the gerbils working away inside would have a harder time going at a higher frame rate and a higher resolution and processing the super view and the boost setting as well. Something else that I was quite surprised about was when I was up at the top of the mountain on this day and it was dark. I mean, like, it was noon on my watch, but it felt like the sun had just gone down in the winter. The Hypersmooth was completely ineffective. Here's a clip of me going down a bumpy trail called Seventh Secret up at the top. And when I say dark, it's really unfair to judge the camera by this because it was dark. Just a couple of 100 meters down in vertical down the mountain, it did lighten up a little bit. For those of you familiar with analog photography, it lightened up 1 or 2 stops, but the results were much better. I then, after riding Seventh Secret, I rode Ladies Only. Again, this is with the round 1 setting, so 4K, 30 frames per second, super view, and Hypersmooth boost, and it was considerably smoother. And then again, when I was doing the rounds of testing, even further down on the mountain, it seemed to perform better. I did shoot all of these videos with EV comp set at -1. I think on a day like today, I should have shot at EV comp +1 at least. So I think next time I go out in a similar conditions, which it is pretty much 9 months out of the year here, I'll do EV comp +1, and I'll also play with a 24 frames per second frame rate. Let me know what you think about these different clips. Let me know what you think is the best. And if there's anything else you want me to guinea pig on the GoPro Hero 9, let me know and maybe I'll do it.